This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. Toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Join us online. Head over to freetalklive.com and enjoy the features that you'll find on the site completely free. With you tonight, it is Ian here.
Johnny Ray.
And Mark.
Johnny Ray, did you get a haircut or something? What happened with you?
I did. I had a full beard, but I have to play. I have to play Sherlock Holmes, or Sherlock Ohms, as I like to call him, and Jack in The Importance of Being Earnest. So I had to lose my beard. Leading men don't have beards.
I guess you're right about that. Usually the bad guy does, right?
Yeah, like you.
So lots of stuff to talk about. Bad people wearing their pants down around their crotch or wherever that is. The Saggy Pants ban. We teased this last night. We never got into the story. And then possible police hazing incident coming up, as well as a crackdown on some Times Square characters. Some folks wearing costumes and things like that. So all kinds of interesting things in the news. Of course, your calls are welcome about whatever's on your mind. You dial in toll-free at 855-450-FREE. And we'll take your calls about anything. You can also join us via Skype. The Skype username is lrn.fm. Story from ABC News. A Florida city councilwoman tired of seeing young men walking the streets of Ocala with their underwear showing finally convinced her fellow council members to put a stop to it after a 5-year battle.
Man. This is an old battle. This story recycles, doesn't it?
Oh, it's come back time and time again. Not necessarily for the city of Ocala in this particular case, but in various different places, the Saggy Pants ban has been put into effect. And, honestly, we don't get to hear the effects of it usually on Free Talk Live. I mean, we kind of rely on our listeners to submit content over at freetalklive.com. Otherwise, it's just, me, Mark, and Johnny Ray doing show prep as we go throughout the day and finding what we happen to find. Finding follow-ups after a law like this, gets passed is very difficult. If it gets challenged and is successfully overturned, we might see news about that. But I haven't seen that news. Well, and then, is it being are people being cracked down upon? What are the results of the law?
Right. It's clearly illegal, this law. But, so what? They don't care what the results of illegal laws are.
Well, why do you say it's illegal?
You can't do that in America. You can't tell people what they can wear on the streets and what they can't wear on the streets.
There's laws that say in some places that women can't be topless.
Yeah, I don't think that too many higher courts are going to say that this is constitutional. So that's my interpretation of it. My interpretation is that you can wear the pants you want to wear, even if it looks, silly to me. Also, what is underwear? What fabric is underwear?
There's various fabrics.
What defines underwear? There's lots of different fabrics that, so you're telling me I can walk down the street in pajamas, which
maybe not in Ocala. I don't know.
Well, I don't know either, but I've seen people out in their jammies, and I don't have that big of a problem with it, honestly. I mean, there's clearly I wouldn't recommend going to a job interview in them.
But Mark, there, in the past have been restrictions on beaches about what people can wear or how revealing the articles of clothing might be. Now, of course, in the case of the saggy pants, nobody can really argue that there's much being revealed in most of the instances because
sometimes
usually
there's anal clefts.
Sometimes, but usually what's being revealed is the underpants, being the boxers or what is on display.
A lot of these underpants, it seems crazy to me, but you can get underpants that cost, $15, $20, $25 a pair. No wonder people want to show them off.
Mary Sue Rich, a councilwoman for Ocala, was the driving force for the law, said Janine Robbins, public information officer for the city of Ocala. The ordinance passed July 15th in a unanimous vote. Not a single dissenter on the city of Ocala council. Makes it illegal to wear pants 2 inches below the natural waistline.
And where is this natural waistline? Is the cop the most qualified person in Ocala to figure out where a natural waistline is?
And are they equipped with rulers? And if not, will they be equipped with rulers?
Because I've read at some point in my life that a woman's waist is at her navel and a man's waist is 1.5 inches below his navel. Is this true for 5-foot men? Is it also true for 6'5" men?
Well, you better figure it out, Ocala, because the violators are facing a penalty of possible jail time and a fine of up to $500. Ordinance affects city-owned or leased property, including sidewalks, streets, and parks. So, pretty much wherever you are, unless it's on private property, they're going to come after you if you have. So supposedly, that's what they're suggesting here. Whether the police are going to be vigorous in their enforcement is another question.
They're going to be as vigorous as they feel like.
I'm touching my waistline right now, and I feel my waist bones. The tops of my waist bones are right underneath.
Hip bones or whatever.
Hip bones. What's that?
Your hip bones? Oh, I see.
I don't know what they are. I'm not
Is that your hip
biologist.
then instead of your waist?
Yes, my waist bones. That was a gag. They were just talking about my hip bones.
That's generally where I considered,
Yeah, there's no bones there, Mark.
Well, anyway, let's continue here. Sometimes fads come in and out. Some they go out, but but this one, to me, just seems to be getting worse. Councilwoman Rich, the hero, told ABC News, "I'm just tired of looking at young men's underwear. It's just disrespectful." Rich.
Okay, so this is revealing. She feels disrespected by the clothing that other people wear.
Well, duh. I mean, why do you think she's making moves to ban other people's clothing?
It's not like it says, I disrespect Edith across the back of this guy's...
Mary Sue.
Mary Sue. I disrespect Mary Sue across this guy's butt. It's just the way they choose to wear their pants. Like, she needs some counseling.
Oh, and here's an additional little detail about her. Mary Sue Rich is a retired probation senior supervisor for the Florida Department of Corrections. So it's most likely that she's spent her career looking at individuals who tend toward this particular clothing persuasion.
Oh, and she spent her career telling people, "Where's your belt? Pull your pants up." I mean, like, she's a correctional officer. She can do that and has done it.
Well, she was a senior supervisor of the probation department.
Fine. I mean, it's all the same stuff. She gets to order people around. She's just mad that she doesn't get to order these kids around.
She says, well, now she does, apparently.
Well,
she's successful.
Here's what. As far as I'm concerned, this is fine and dandy. Mary Sue should have to pay for the lawsuit, the lawsuit that Ocala is going to incur on this. And if she loses, not only does she have to pay the both sides, in my opinion, Mary Sue, not the city of Ocala, but she should also have to do every day in jail and pay every fine that anybody had leveled against them.
What about the other city councilors who all voted for this?
I understand. I'm with you.
Unanimous.
I think that they should get. She should get 50%. They should each get another 10%.
Then this would be a wonderful world, Mark, that you're describing.
Right.
Where
Politicians that are actually responsible for their stinking actions.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice if that could happen. I don't know. Maybe we'll see it happen here in New Hampshire if somebody can somehow get that kind of a bill through. It would be difficult, though, because all of the politicians and bureaucrats
they don't want
out,
to be responsible for their actions.
Yeah, they're going to come out and they're going to testify against that. They're going to give all kinds of reasons why they have to have what's called immunity from responsibility.
This would stifle irresponsible legislation.
Right.
But even if they would just stop, that would be fine. They don't have to
If they would stop making new legislation?
Yes.
They're clearly not going to do that. They have no responsibility for their actions. People who have no responsibility for their actions are historically very bad at stopping doing their irresponsible stuff.
This is Free Talk Live, and you're invited to take control of the airwaves here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. More on the saggy pants ban. This isn't proposed. This has been passed unanimously in the city of Ocala. Violators will be facing a possible jail time and a fine of up to $500. It affects all city-owned property, including sidewalks, streets, and parks. And if you are caught with pants 2 inches below the natural waistline, you could be under arrest. We'll give you more information about it here in moments. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE and Skype us at username LRN.FM. Let's continue here. Glenn is in Philly. You're on Free Talk Live. It's okay. We're just doing our business on the air here on Free Talk Live. So Glenn, you're upset. You think we should be talking about more important matters than saggy pants bans. So go ahead. This is your chance. What do you got?
Well, first of all, I wonder how many attendees of the survival school, when you meet up in the original group, have their pants hanging down their butts.
Probably not very many at all.
Probably not very many, because these are productive people with some discipline. And first of all, if you are actually active in the physical world, bending, stooping, lifting, organizing, or putting boxes on shelves, or helping someone, doing something, it's hard to work with your pants hanging down your butt. Even plumbers, who are known for that, plumber's smile, pull them up because they only fell down by accident. Okay, and they're fat and out of shape. And
Glenn, I'm not here to defend the clothing style of the people who choose to wear saggy pants. I'm only defending their right to do it. I don't happen to agree with it. I've seen video of people trying to run with saggy pants, and that's a really bad idea. It doesn't tend to work out very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. My problem is getting out to defend the rights of a pathological, narcissistic, immature, defiant, attention.
Oh, for God's sake, you don't know a single one of these people, and you keep on rattling off this pathological, narcissistic thing. Look, I think it's as dumb as you do.
Immature.
Well, you don't. I mean, there's a chance that these people are just, they're not all immature, right? Like some of them.
Maybe they are immature, but so what? You were immature once too. You know how you got mature, Glenn? You had to live through immaturity.
No, we're talking about late teens, early 20s. Slackers, parasites who how many, not a one of them has they don't go in punching on their responsible job, where they're pulling their weight and making a contribution to society, and then punch out of work and then go out and
I don't know if that's true. I mean, I think that's a convenient stereotype.
Well, because stereotypes are stereotypes because they have a large component of truth in many cases.
Well, that may be true, but it certainly doesn't necessarily mean that everyone who wears saggy pants doesn't have a job, nor does.
We're going to have a MERS epidemic. Like, why don't you guys find something
MERS
important to talk about instead of?
All right, Glenn, this is what I tried to give you the opportunity.
It's called Free Talk Live, Glenn. You said you were an occasional listener of the show. You know what it's about. Call in and talk about what you want to talk about,
This is your chance, Glenn. So far, all you've done is insult people and their clothing styles.
You guys, well, one reason I'm an infrequent listener, I hear you guys defending the rights of people to be selfish jerks. So,
wow, so we shouldn't defend other people's rights if we don't like the way they dress?
Yeah, you defend all this peripheral, narcissistic, immature, selfish behaviors. We love to defend the rights of selfish, societally.
You know what? You know who needs the people who need defending, Glenn. And thank you for the call tonight. I've had enough.
Yeah, the people who need defending, the rights that need their rights defended are people that other people don't like.
Yeah,
right.
The people that are marginalized.
It's the unpopular folks.
Popular people don't need their rights defended, Glenn.
Yeah. It's the unpopular people, the people who say things that are despicable in some cases, the people who look very funny in some ways, who maybe have attitudes that are unfriendly. I'm not saying I want to hang out with these people, but they should be free to live how they want as long as they're not harming anyone else. And I'm sorry, but wearing saggy pants doesn't harm anyone. Mary Sue Rich, the city councilor in Ocala, she's the driving force behind the saggy pants ban.
Is that Mary Rich, who I would call a selfish, narcissistic, immature, blah, 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 that
she's
the
the one
fact that
trying
she's
to tell people
using taxpayers' money to waste people's time on legislation like this, whether he supported that, I'll bet you that Glenn would say no. I'll bet you, because he's, he has that sound. If I had to make a guess, you got rid of him. I like to keep these guys on.
Well, Mark, we kept him on for quite a while actually, and he just kept shouting. So,
indeed,
time's up.
Oftentimes these people are like, well, this shouldn't. Obviously, the politicians shouldn't have done that. But look, who are the villains here? Let's really, for a second here, who are the villains? The people who are, underemployed and choose and think that it's a better idea to wear their pants low than to be productive. Are they the villains? Or are the politicians that want to go after people that want to waste my money, sending cops, hiring more cops to go chasing after people whose pants aren't high enough?
As far as I'm concerned, innocent until proven guilty. And just because somebody's wearing saggy pants doesn't mean that they're a criminal, doesn't mean that they're dangerous or have hurt anybody. It's just a silly clothing style. Now, there's an argument to be made that, it could be more likely that a person who wears the sort of clothing might be more likely to be involved in criminal activity, but that's only if likely you include drugs as part of the criminal activity. If you take the drug war out, then maybe most of them probably aren't violent at all in any way, shape, or form. This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you'd like. Toll free here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us online. Just go to freetalklive.com and enjoy the features on the website there, freetalklive.com. With you tonight, Ian here.
Johnny Ray.
And Mark.
So we were talking about jury nullification, actually, really briefly. I want to get back onto that subject. Then we can talk more about the saggy pants ban that has gone into effect in Ocala.
Why aren't you talking about important things that are going on in this world? There's people dying in Ukraine, people dying in Palestine. Why are we talking about unimportant things like saggy pants bans?
You know what? That's an excellent question. That was a call from Glenn there toward the end of the last hour. And it was interesting when Glenn was critiquing us for talking about something he didn't like, that he didn't take the opportunity, which I gave him, because when we brought him back on after the break, we had him on before one of the breaks, we brought him back on, and I said, Glenn, this is your chance. So you didn't like what we were talking about before. This is Free Talk Live. What do you want to talk about? And then he just kept complaining about the saggy pants ban.
Right. So in fact, what Glenn wanted to do was talk about the saggy pants ban.
And insult people who wear saggy pants.
That's fine. I don't care. Everybody's got their opinion.
He can do that.
I think it's insult worthy. But then again, I can tell you that older people had lots of things to say about my style of dress and garb when I was young, and I have had a job from the time I was 12. There's some specific things you can say about saggy pants bans, but whatever. Old people have been complaining about the way young people dress as long as there have been old and young people.
Yep, saggy pants, there's some people have really taken it to an art. I think that I witnessed the birth of it. And it just started out as a thing where your pants were kind of saggy, and then they were a little more saggy and a lot more saggy. And now, you see people who take a great deal of pride in having bright white cotton underwear that's kind of fluffed out just the right amount. And, it's not just a careless sort of a thing. It is narcissistic.
It's bloused, and their underwear is out so perfectly, it's sort of bloused in a way.
Perfect word, Mark. It is bloused.
I think that it came from communities where they just, hand-me-downs were the norm, and people were wearing big pants because that's the pants that they had available to them. I've heard lots of other stories of, and best I can tell, most of them are sort of apocryphal as opposed to actual facts. But and then for whatever reason the style stuck. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me.
Her name is Mary Sue Rich. She's the councilwoman who is the so-called driving force behind the law that will threaten people who have saggy pants below 2 inches, below the so-called natural waistline, with a $500 fine, up to $500 fine, and possible jail time. They're anywhere on city sidewalks, streets, parks, so pretty much anywhere out in public. She was pushing this years ago, and it had been brushed aside over racial profiling concerns. She said, everyone's saying, this from, by the way, ABC News, everyone's saying I'm targeting young black men. She said, I'm black. I've been black for a long time. Why would I be targeting black men? I would just like to ask one of these men, what is the advantage of pulling your pants down so far? Now,
well, I think there's a lot of there are a lot of fashions out there that don't have a bunch of advantages other than people think that they make them look good.
Well, there are women who, are into this look, right? Now, there are probably...
How about high heels? I mean, really.
What's the point of that?
Can't we argue that high heels are as silly as baggy pants?
Well, wouldn't some argue that the high heels make a woman look taller?
So?
Well, what's taller argument for?
Oh, you can reach that can of beans on the top shelf? Is that what the argument is?
High heels are for immature, underachieving, narcissistic slackers.
For those just tuning in, Johnny Ray is referencing a call from the first hour of the show where we were chewed out by somebody who was upset at us talking about this topic. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a difference there. High heels, you could argue there's a utility to them. I think some women would argue that it enhances their booty.
Right. Well, hold on. Okay. So it makes me look better.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's the argument behind every fashion?
Probably.
Okay. So let's not use that as an argument.
So anyway, back to the story here. Rich is a retired probation senior supervisor. Not everybody agrees. Not everybody agrees is on board with the anti-SAG push, including that's a bad sentence. Including Mayor Kent Gwynn, who may veto it. Gwynn told ABC News, and by the way, this is after a unanimous vote of the city council, quote, "I don't think it's a good law. When we start getting into creating laws that prohibit people's freedom of expression and the way they dress, I think you're getting into some dangerous territory." Gwynn said,
"Here's a teen that claims that saggy pants saved him from an alligator."
Gwynn said, after I thought about it, I thought this is just a bad law. I may not like the way they dress, but I'm not going to make a law about it. He also added that it's nothing personal towards Councilwoman Rich. You vote for what you believe and your heart is right. Wait a minute. I thought they were supposed to be voting for what the people wanted. What about this whole representative republic thing? Isn't that the supposed pitch? Is that these people, the city councilors, the state reps, that these are representing people? But yet here's the politicians saying that you're supposed to vote your heart. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong to vote what's in your heart. I'm just saying maybe they should get it straight. Which one is it? Are you voting your heart, what you believe is right? Or are you trying to pretend like you're voting for what the people of your district or ward or whatever political designation want?
Well, the voters know what's in the hearts of the politicians that they vote for. That's why they vote for them. They know everything about how they're going to decide on every issue, and that's why they vote for them, and that's how they are representative. They know the secrets inside the politicians' hearts.
He added, "I just don't think you can create laws that make you respect yourself." On the fate of the law she worked so hard to implement, Councilwoman Rich simply says, "I guess we'll see." So I guess it's not a done deal there in Ocala, but this isn't the first proposed saggy pants ban. It won't be the last one. And I would be interested in actually finding out, which communities that have this thing are enforcing it, to what extent, or have they been, vetoed at the last minute? Is it like this Ocala story where there really isn't a saggy pants ban of any enforceable measure anywhere? I'm just curious about it. If you know, maybe you've got one in your area and you've heard about people actually being arrested or ticketed for it, would love to hear from you. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Loose clothing is comfortable. It allows for weight gain. It allows you to conceal things in your clothing that may be, illegal or whatever. Most of these cons I consider to be much more motivating to me than, baggy pants. But, I see what most of the callers have to say about saggy clothing and, that they don't like it because. And I agree. I don't like it either. I think it sends a bad message generally. But if that's what you want to do, then it isn't going to bother me that much.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.